Anyway, let's get right into the news, and we'll talk about the rest of the show in a bit. First up this week, we have a dual pack of Rolling Stone news. God, why are they still alive?
Rolling Stone? They actually do some decent reporting, which is to say that they do reporting.
No.
Most places don't nowadays.
Not the
Magazine?
No, we're talking about the band.
Oh, the Rolling Stones.
Yes.
That, is it their new We Need More Money tour?
Actually, first news. There will be no 50th anniversary tour.
We have enough money, so we're not going to tour.
For the moment, yes.
Hookers become more expensive as you get older. I wouldn't know this, because I'm actually fairly young. Still. Haha.
Unfortunately, the Stones, or at least fortunately, depending on who you want to look at, they have ruled out 2012 to be an entire year that they will not tour. However, they have not ruled out 2013.
Depends on how fast they go through their smacking hookers.
However, to tide people over, the Rolling Stones have announced they are going to be releasing a brand new documentary on themselves.
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be even cheesier of a cash-in and a remastered album. But that's at least got some effort behind it. You have to do some minor editing.
Yes, apparently the film will be directed by the same person who made The Kid Stays in the Picture. If anybody has seen that documentary, excellent documentary. Check it out. It has no official title yet. It apparently will debut this fall.
The Rolling Stones, we need money, but we don't really want to travel.
So far, there's at least 50 hours worth of interviews that have been put together. There are some who say this is the Rolling Stones' answer to the Beatles' massive documentary that put out, I want to say, 10 years ago.
At least the Beatles had some sort of a difference compared to the Rolling Stones. I'm not sure. I honestly don't know about music that much, but are all the Rolling Stones still alive? Because I know the Beatles weren't all alive 10 years ago. I'm not that dense.
I think so, somehow. Even though with the amount of stuff between Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, I'm surprised. Anyway, the story is currently being put together as a narrative. No one's really sure about the length yet. They have not said. But they are pretty sure that about 80% of the footage they are putting in it has never been seen before. Let's move on. With the unfortunate demise of REM, the members have been looking for other things to do, and it looks like one of the first to emerge is the great Peter Buck, who will begin work on his first solo album.
I have no comment on that, because kind of, again, stuff I don't really pay attention to. I'm not very good with the whole older rock and such.
Peter Buck is one of the few members who never sang on any of the records for REM. He was just pure instrumental.
And he's going to do a solo album.
Yep.
There is no way he's not riding on his name in that regard, then.
Nope. However, the interesting part is he is doing this just for himself, apparently. According to people working for Mr. Buck, there's no set timetable when it will be finished or when it will be released. However, the album will only be coming out on vinyl.
He really doesn't want anyone to listen to it, then.
Essentially, it's just for himself.
Why even make the announcement, then? Really?
Apparently,
Look what I'm doing that none of you are going to listen to unless someone rips it and changes the format.
Apparently, it was done at a recent radio interview in Seattle. Next up is another bit of artists suing. I know. It's surprising.
Is it the artist or is it the label?
The artists. This time, the Temptations have filed a class action lawsuit seeking unpaid royalties from Universal Music Group for digital downloads.
Yeah, I was gonna dismiss this out of hand, but seeing as they're going after the labels, high five to them. Woo! Suddenly I'm interested.
Essentially what they're saying is that just because it's digital doesn't mean it's a different license. It still means they deserve money.
Gee, the labels, practicing copyright infringement? Who'da thunk it? It's not like it happens all the damn time. Yes, they were sued for it and lost in Canada.
There are other groups who are also suing, such as Peter Frampton, Public Enemy, Kenny Rogers. And a similar lawsuit was settled last year by Sony with bands such as Cheap Trick and the Allman Brothers. So they have precedent on their side, so this could be interesting to see if they actually can get the money. And given how the Temptations have aged and how any artist these days could make a good living on some of their older music, I would hope they would be able to at least enjoy the fruits of their labor.
Universal will settle for an undisclosed or a decently sizable amount of money. Not enough to actually put a dent in their own profit, and enough to satisfy the complaining parties. And nothing will change.
Yes. And finally, this is one of those weird stories I ran across and wasn't really sure until I was reading about it. There's going to be a new on-demand song chart published by Billboard coming out, I believe, starting later this year. It's going to be used to track data from online streaming sources.
Neato?
Essentially, it's just another way for them to judge on what people are listening to when they're streaming audio, whether it be through, I believe, the ones they are currently trying to measure are places like Rhapsody, Stacker, Spotify, Zune, Sony Music Unlimited, Moave Music, that sort of thing.
You know what I heard every time you said that? We're sorry, this is not available in your region. We're sorry, this is not available in your region, etc. Therefore, Careface.
Apparently they haven't published it yet, but they've started the tracking process. Through the first 70 days of 2012, this service has already captured more than 4.5 billion audio streams.
It's pretty clear that this is just gathering market data.
Yes, and it will also show them who is consuming their music, what's growing, and which user fan bases there are. Whether or not they will be using this to chart other things is currently unclear. However, according to the folks over at digitalmusic.org, last year we saw an explosion both subscriber and traffic to music subscription services, and the business is now contributing meaningful to the music industry's growing digital music revenues.
I just find it funny that people complain ad nauseum about changes that are coming through at like Google and their privacy policy, and yet it's like, oh sure, you could track my music. That's hunky-dory. I know it's not exactly the same thing, surfing habits v. listening habits, but same principle.
The funny thing is, from what people have been able to tell so far, some lesser-known groups and lesser-known songs have actually shown up in this list and have had a major impact that have surprised the people who are tracking all this information so far.
Non-promoted artists do actually get paid attention to. Le Shock.
Such as
Quickly, put out a new, like, Kesha album or something. I need to manufacture more.
the example is the current number one is a group called New York Act Fun, and their hit "We Are Young." According to streams, they have had 1.1 million streams so far, and this is for the second consecutive week. Which goes to show you what is on the Hot 100 and what is on this 100 are completely two different things.
Again, Le Shock.
It'll be interesting to see how this helps out, or if it allows people to see other music out there that gives them a chance to say, hey, a lot of people are listening to this. Not necessarily is it going to be the most known thing, but it could be better for all the artists involved.
Oh yeah, it will be, largely. It's just... It's not exactly that, like, these companies are doing it for altruistic reasons. Let's face it.
True enough. True enough.